Figure out how to fix this. You know, Robin was. I know that you.
I'm pretty sure I have.
Lay out, get in a place and lay out, see how you want to. One of my times, and figure out how to live. Laying down the plan because Chris Hendricks has been like into that system, and when I say he understands it and how they work and intricacies of that, that's the problem that makes me that
I don't even know. Let me get in first, y'all.
Save a seat for me at the table before we open it up to everybody else. Let me get to the table.
For me. Hey, what's up, man? We appreciate y'all for checking into the G-Spot podcast. I know it's been a minute since I've seen y'all, but I appreciate y'all for continuing to follow. Make sure y'all all I'm gonna throw this out first before y'all. I know y'all be in and out. It's a weeknight, and y'all be in, doing y'all little thing at night. But I do want to say we have the Black Man Crown Awards coming back up. Make sure I won, G-Spot of the podcast of the year last year. So make sure. Hey, look, I've been seeing the polls and the posts, man. I appreciate. I've had a lot of people support, and make sure that y'all please continue to support. And if you have any ideas, if you ever want to be a guest on the G-Spot podcast, make sure you hit me up, man. Let me tell you, man, I'm so thankful God has put me in the position that I am in right now, and I am seeing Him, even having the conversation we just having tonight of me. And I pray all the time, and especially the last couple of weeks of just, God make me more effective in my life, anything that I do more lucrative on different, all aspects. And God keep putting me in the room with people with some money. You know what I'm saying? And I'm appreciative of that. We got two new guests to the G-Spot podcast in the building right now. We got Moni Ashe.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
how's it going? Happy to be with you.
Happy to be with y'all, man. And we got Chris Hendricks in the building.
What up, Mr. C Hen from the 850 in the house tonight.
Yes.
Hey.
Man, I appreciate it. How y'all doing today?
Great, man.
Life is fun.
Yeah.
Life is fun right now.
Life is life, man.
Life is life.
Yeah.
I said it earlier. 2024 is 2024.
Yeah, and it's crazy because what they say, this is going to be the year of exposure.
Yes.
And I think people kind of look at that superficially.
Yeah.
But that's an internal thing too. It's a lot of things that even myself, I've been, learning about myself, figuring out about myself, and having to be real with myself about a lot of things, to better myself as an individual.
Isn't that a beautiful thing though?
Oh yeah.
Right.
You hear people say all the time, you're talking, they'd be like, you got to do the shadow work. And I heard one woman say one time, I already did my shadow work.
It's a constant thing. What are you talking about?
All day, every day.
All day.
It's like a comma. A comma.
Yeah, it's like a 2-year degree. You know what I'm saying?
I got my paper. What?
It's in my grandma's house. Yeah. Definitely though. Yeah, I'm a very big advocate on change and accountability. And like for real, for the last couple of years, for me, has just been about accountability. And it's really cool just to have y'all here, especially with the things that we're going to be talking about tonight with the Noor investment group.
In the house.
That's right.
House, man.
Money.
Y'all know we come on a G-Spot podcast. We like to laugh. We have a good time, but y'all already know. At least once a month, I'm gonna give y'all something a little serious.
We're gonna have a good time with money, though.
We're gonna have a good time with money because that's how you have a good time with
the
money.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we see a lot of times we have conversations on, the condition of the Black community right now, and a lot of times we kind of play tug of war, even with our friends who aren't, Black, Native American, however you identify, and I like to tell people all the time, being pro-Black does not mean anti anything else. Okay.
Amen.
A lot of times we have had to share our room with a lot of people, and we see what we lack in our own community. So we need organizations like this, companies like this, to come out to our people. And I'm very happy to have a platform to be able to do that. So I'm gonna let y'all explain, what the company is about.
100%. So it's so crazy because coming into Pensacola, Noir Investment Group was founded based off of looking around and saying, what is there for us?
Yeah.
You know, when you start looking around and talking about Black investment groups, where are they?
Yeah.
You know, and what's required to be able to get in there?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been friends with this guy. I'm sitting right beside, you know, Chris, you know, for a little bit, and just shooting ideas off about like, hey, is this possible? Is this possible? And we are two atoms that if you put us together for ideas, things gonna happen.
Boom, 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 boom.
So we got down to the table and started coming up with some different ideas. And Noir Investment Group like was birthed some years ago. We're going on like four years.
Going on technically.
It'll be
5. So 2019, we started before the pandemic
Yep.
with the idea actually meeting in your Henny Pennies,
my bakery,
right, in the bakery. And then the pandemic didn't slow us down because we just went straight to online and kept going and building, right? So 2020, it officially launched. So I guess we're 4 years in official, 5 years if you count the pre-staging, right, as Noir Investment Group.
Yeah.
But it was, when we start talking about Black finance and money, these are things that can be like, shh, we don't talk about that money. You know, we don't talk about what we do with our money. We don't talk about income or any of that. And I started looking over in other lanes, and I'm like, but the other people are doing it. Like
everybody talking about money.
So I'm like, we need to have more conversations about our money and how to increase our wealth, what that looks like. So Noir was based around that, to be an open forum for us to have conversations about money, understanding about stocks, like what your portfolio looks like. Do you have one? Can we help you get one? Let's talk about it. One of the things, because it's a minority-based organization, we wanted to create a safe space, because it is my knowledge and my experience is that when you start talking about money and Black folks, and if it's some people in the room, sometimes they don't look like you, we're quiet. We don't talk about it. We don't share. And that's there's some historical stuff in regards to our relationship with white people and other people in regards to that. So I said, no, we don't want that. We want safe spaces where people can ask questions. They can speak, be vulnerable. So we went through it. We got in the depths and we hashed out some bylaws and some stuff and NDAs to try to get this started. And we've been running ever since. So we're just doing the work in the community. But I'm gonna let Mr. Hendricks speak a little bit more about like some of the fun stuff we do.
Now, I mean, I think you said the majority of it. The infrastructure is laid. It was laid 2020, right? 2019, 2020, when we laid that infrastructure down and focus on building generational wealth and wisdom, right? It's grabbing the people who look like you and saying, how do we talk about money successfully, do things with money together successfully? And that was the big key. How do we do that successfully together? We needed transparency, right? We needed an open place to have conversations and know that was that safe space, right? So we started building those concepts into the organization. And then once that was birthed, we've kept it like that. We've actually decidedly been focused on making sure that the people who are part of the group are educated and not just running the quickest race possible. Because we've had some cool investors who've been with us. We shout out them. We love them. But we've had to keep the focus on the train moving and carrying everybody with us, not necessarily being a Corvette and zooming at the fastest speed, right, of sound, right, to start with. And that has been the greatest element in taking people who don't invest, who don't know what's in their 401k or even realizing that they have a 401k and what to do with it, and actually getting them in the mindset of, oh, I can see that. I can buy my own. I got a portfolio now. It may not be $1 billion in it, but I got a portfolio. And if they know how to create a portfolio, they see that conversation happen. They have a model for that conversation happening. Now they can actually go, hey, fam, hey, let's circle around real fast. How do we do this in our own house? How do I show my kids, right, that might be 16, 17, got a job, you can do something more than just buy the J's. You can actually own the company that make the J's, right? How do I, take the jeans that you buy and the companies that you buy, right, and you wearing them, but then how do you own the company that you wear? And actually showing them and starting with those basics and then building from there. And that's kind of been some of the things we've been focused on in growing. It's a focus on education with this initial club that we built.
I think that's very important. Like I kind of stated earlier, when it comes to not only being in rooms that were uncomfortable with us when talking about money, but just not even having the education to talk about money. A friend of mine, we were speaking earlier how a lot of times we would see, in a lot of African American families that when you turn 18, you had to get out the house. And it's kind of crazy because a lot of times, majority of those cases, the people who are being pushed out the house are people who were never given the tools to really survive successfully. So that's when we get the repetitious behavior of bad credit, just bad spending habits, investing in things that really don't matter. If we can wear it, we look good, and that means you got some money, and we always end up behind. So it's really interesting to have these type of companies and to push those type of companies because, sometimes we need people that look like us to be able to have these conversations. We see it all the time, even when it comes to voting. A lot of times people feel like, well, I ain't gonna do this because this is going to stay the same because they look like XYZ, but sometimes we need those rooms where people can actually come and talk about money and what I need to invest in, especially young entrepreneurs right now. As we see, we're going into a new age of just individuals, period. The younger people, a lot of times people say, well, they just don't like to work. Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think a lot of those people are just really doing what a lot of us didn't want to do, and that's go after their dreams. You know what I'm saying?
Which is fine, but it's like, let's talk about it and see, like, let's get you investing in a portfolio so that way you can live off of your portfolio.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work. Now, let's be real. There's many people who don't work.
Yeah.
Some people don't work.
But it's levels to this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
levels
you
to
want to
this
get
game.
to the level where you're not working and getting a check, legit, a legit check. Let's talk about that. Let's dive into like, what do you need to do? We have people in our investment group who love talking about those things about like, hey, what do we need to do to get from here to here, or where we can get some dividends and stuff like that. So our conversations be real.
Hey, look, we were having a popcorn conversation the other day. In fact, they were having a popcorn conversation yesterday in the internal chat. Yeah.
How do you make that? Like, how do you flip this money? Like, what's the best way to flip this money? How much do we need to put in? What stock is going to give us the best return on investment? How quick? Like, we get in there. And I love that because it's safe. It's like things even get like, you can feel the energy throttling up, which is fine because we're in a safe space. It's us. We're in there having these conversations. There's no judgment, which is a beautiful thing. So we can ask the questions on all different levels. There are a variety of levels within the group. And I mean, I love that. It's here in Pensacola. Like, we're excited to be here in Pensacola to have this platform. And it's never been, I think Chris and I, when we just, when I think about it, it never has ever been about being the biggest, the fastest, the quickest. It's really been about the education. It's really been like for these first 4 years, all this group has been about is education to the point, like he said, like we've had conversations about like, hey, well, we could do this and do this, but it's like, oh, I'm not ready. We're not ready. They're not ready. Our community's not ready because in the group, they're like, well, how does this group run? Are y'all bossing people and telling people what to do? No, we are a community group, meaning that we take votes. So everybody, you tell a Black person you can't tell them what to do with their money. Like, everybody votes. You know what I'm saying? It has to be a legit system,
right? Structure
and a transparent system. So not only do we do votes within our group, we're gonna show you where the money is. We have reports because that we're talking about developing trust and relationship because that's one of the things we were very worried about. When we first started, it was like, we need the people to trust. We need our people to trust. So we're going to take their money every month. We need to make sure they understand like where the money's going.
Right.
So we have our reports and everything. We put our reports up so everybody can see. We talk about it. And then we, as a collective, why you want to buy this? Well, what's popping right now? Like we'll talk about like right now, what's going on right now in the stocks that we're talking about that, stuff is going on. Trump I put that out there. I was like, oh, Trump has stock. He has stock, right? And so I had a friend who was talking about like, hey, in regard like, yo, he's getting ready to buy or do something else. Do I go ahead and buy the stock right now while it's low and dump it in a few? Well, let's talk about it.
What does that look like?
What does that look like? You want to flip? My thing that I always poke fun in the group, which has been my thing, I would buy travel stocks. So I was waiting forever to dump my Royal Caribbean stock. Bought the stock at $20. Stock went up. When I sold it, it was 130. So we have these conversations like, yo, get in there, like jump in there. Like, what is it that you want? Maybe it's not what, maybe you don't want to buy what all of us are buying collectively, but buy something. Get in there. Like, don't be scared. Like, we talk about the platforms that you can buy off of in different places. And then what's your favorite stock? What's your trending stock right now?
I mean, I'm going to go the dividend route because I've been enjoying these dividends. And so I'm like, one of the cool things that's happened is we've got a accredited investor that's joined the group. Yep. And he's actually helped shape some of our mentality. Mr. Hubert, what's up? But he's kind of helped model, right, and help think through some of the things and his concepts and his mentality. He's doing very well. I'm not going to put his business out there. He's doing very well, right? But that's also kind of helped shape like how we're thinking and moving forward and helping us to move forward some. And so in that, the big thing has been the dividend bearing stocks that are like CLM, right? CLM has been a great stock, 18%.
CLM, though, for those who are wondering, get CLM. Look up the stock, okay? Check it out.
Let me write that down.
We're gonna give you some stocks.
Yeah, we'll drop a couple heaters out there.
CLM for your stock portfolio to be able to get some dividends. That's one that we have in our portfolio.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you don't know how to do that, you don't mind if I give them a quick rundown?
No, and tell them what dividends are. Maybe they're like, what is dividends? Yeah. Like, what does that mean?
You educating me right now.
For our listeners, why would dividends like be important for somebody? So what is a dividend?
That's a great point. So a dividend is a share of money that I get for owning a company. And that company is giving me that dividend because I have invested. I own a share of that company. So when I own, earlier, I mentioned it's not just wearing the Jordans, it's actually owning the company that makes the Jordans. Nike is not necessarily a company that gives big dividends, right? But there are other companies that do pay big dividends. And when you own that company, instead of reinvesting all of that money back into the company, they pay the shareholders who own that company because that's the model of the company. They pay their shareholders monthly, sometimes quarterly, sometimes biannually, and sometimes annually. In this particular case, we have one that the portfolio owns, and I own personally now. It's called CLM. That's the ticker symbol for the stock. And when you own that, they actually pay you out a monthly dividend for actually investing in the company. And so when you own the company, they by law have to pay you as the owner for your investment into the company. And so I get that now as a monthly dividend. And I learned that from being in the club, the difference between how those dividends are paid out, how to look for them, when to buy them, and when you should get paid and how to identify that data. So that's very important to know is those dividends, and they pay 18%. So the only other thing that you see that's 18% is them high behind credit cards, and you paying them 18%, right? So they've invested in you. They're the shareholders of you individually own, and you're paying them 18% to use that credit card. Now I've got a company that I invested in, and now they're paying me 18% for owning them.
So imagine that. So like if I'm pumping my gas, ExxonMobil is one that pays dividends. So imagine since you're already getting gas, and I mean, well, whatever, if it's Shell, I mean, whatever you want to do, I don't care. Just get the money, but buy your stock, right? Buy it and look at it and see like, how much is it? Because there's an art to this. And we talk about this in the group. Let's look and see how much is the stock right now. Let's look at the history. See if we can get it a little lower. Maybe right now because what are the factors if I buy a gas stock right now? Everybody's going on spring break. Gas going to be high, right? So maybe we need to buy gas in October. Maybe October is a better time to buy the stock. Maybe after everybody, but not before Christmas break. Not before,
right. Before the traveling.
It's like jump rope. You got a time when you get in there and watch. So you get in when it's low, and then you watch it rise. And then especially for the ones for dividends, you're gonna hold. They're gonna be giving you a kickback. Essentially, what he's saying, we break it out in hood terms. They finna pay you, man.
Right.
They pay you to buy. You would have bought the stock. They're going to kick you back money for it. So the more that you accrue, imagine having a portfolio built up to where you get monthly kickback. Your bills are paid off of dividends. Your mortgage is paid off of dividends. Your lifestyle, your retirement. You retire early. Now we're talking about different stuff, right? Now we're talking about breaking generational curses. Now we're talking about pulling up our communities. Now we're talking about, okay, Gentries, let's talk about it. You want to take out a loan? Take it out from us. Don't go to the bank.
Something else we just learned about.
Let us help you. Let us invest in your vision. Let's negotiate our own terms to be able to get you what you need versus you having to go to somewhere else. So that's like, this is the stuff we're talking about. And it takes, it's conversation, it's trust, you know, and this is what we do. This is like the community work that like we get in there and it's a collective. All of us get together and do it.
I thought you was finna get in that 201 where I just borrow money for myself while I'm at my own bank. Where I'm my own bank from the market, because you know
you can share, break it down for people so they understand a little bit what you're talking about for the 201. But so we have the education fund, it's the e-fund, right? And then for those who say, hey, I'm interested in going up, we're in the process of doing something new. And I'm gonna let Mr. Hendricks spill on that.
Oh, I was gonna stay in the e-fund now, because we learning this in the e-fund right now. We learning this in the e-club right now. Hey, look, it's like this, where it's like, instead of buying that $40,000-$50,000 car, that Beamer, that Benz, that Lexus, right, whatever that is, throwing your Twinkies on there, right, and shining. Actually, how about buy that $8,000 car and then take that other $30,000 you were going to spend on a car, that other $40,000, and actually put that in the market. Now I've got dividend income coming in, paying me monthly, right, instead of the other way around. Instead of me paying a car company or a bank, now I've got that money paying me. So now my car payment's actually getting paid by what I put in the market. So now I don't even have a car payment anymore. So now I'm driving around in something decent, right? It's a little older, but it's paid for. I ain't got to pay for it. But now as that dividend stock is coming in and it pays off the car, it rolls back up in the fund and continues to grow. So now the next car I buy is actually that Benz, because the dividends pay for it. And now I'm not paying for it out of pocket. So now my dividends become my bank. Oh, you didn't know there's this thing called margin, and margin allows me to take that money that I got in the market and actually multiply 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So now if I got $40,000 in the bank, technically I've got $120,000, and I can actually borrow against that. I ain't even got to go to the bank. I ain't got to get a credit check. I don't have to do any of that. I can go buy something I want. Oh, I want that house right there. Oh, I'm gonna buy that house and rent it out. Now I got more cash flow coming in for that house. Or maybe I want to buy that duplex, right? Because I do need a place to stay. So now I'm going to borrow against my portfolio. No credit check, no background check, because it's my money and it's already there. I borrow that money. I actually buy the duplex. I live in one side. I rent the other side out. Now I got cash flow coming in from that. And that cash flow is coming back in to put that back into my account that I'm still getting paid from the dividends. So now my car is getting paid from my dividends. My extra cash flow that they gave me by default, called margin, now pays for my duplex, and my duplex is paying that back. So now I'm still free. I ain't got no money coming out of my pocket.
Like Living Color used to do this, 2 brothers. Be like, more money. Because it's just that. And I guess a person might wonder, Chris, like, okay, y'all are talking about it, but is it really happening? And the truth of it is that for our group, for our club, we figured out just this year how dividends can take and help pay for some of our expenses. So we're actually putting in an application, like actually putting an application and showing the members, like, this is how you do it. Okay, there's no secret. You don't have to pay a $9.99 to try to pay. No, you gotta pay nothing on the side. Yeah. Like, no, we get at the table. Like, okay, no, this is what we're doing. And not only this is how we do it here, and you go home
and do that,
and you do it. So you take, $20, $100, whatever. You go home, go on there, buy this, watch this, and look for this on the report, and you should see it. And so we would go back and forth. I'm like, I'm gonna go buy that. We'll talk about it in the group. Somebody will put something. I was like, oh, I gotta go buy it. I go home, I get on the computer, I'm looking. I'm like, okay, I bought mine. And then I'll look and I'll see on the report, oh snap, April, here's my dividends. Here's how much money is coming back to me. Oh, okay. I need to put my next check, make sure I put out some more money. So for the next time it goes around, I get a little bit more. That's how you keep building. So that way, have something to pass down to my kids, legacy, better quality of life, education, and things I can invest. I mean, like, it's real. It's so real. And it's, I really count. I mean, the group has been a blessing to me, just being able to see how it's touching people and the things we're learning and the growth. I'm like, we started out with goose eggs. That's grandma work, nothing, like zip zero, in regards to like nobody gave us money to start the, the organization. We started out, and then now we've pressed well over and surpassed some of our financial goals that we were expecting, just like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't expect us to grow to this level. And we're still going. And now we're talking about numbers I didn't think that we would ever be talking about in regards to growth. So I'm just like,
6 figures. Here we coming.
I'm
We
like,
coming.
what's the goal? I mean, but that's good, because I love that we're comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's like, no, this dude, he's like, okay, we're finna go there. I'm like, where are we going? It's like, here we go. Yeah, we're finna go to the next level. Okay, let's go. So that's where the growth comes. So, but we want more people to grow with us. We don't, it's
not closed off.
We're not being stingy with this education and this, this information. We want people to join us, and there has been some, but it takes commitment, and that's the issue, because the commitment portion where it's like, okay, now listen, you got to commit and get in there with us and have these conversations. Like, we're not an organization where we're just going to do all the work for you. We want you to come in at the table, have the conversations, get into groups. You
got to come sit at the table.
Yeah.
If you ain't coming to sit at the table, you ain't learning.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take your money, but everybody going to take your money.
True.
Yep. So, and then we've been having conversations as well. Well, like, okay, so maybe you did get a little money. You got a little bonus, right? What you want to do with it? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Don't do the Twinkies. Don't go put the Twinkies on the hoopty.
And
don't
take a little bit out of the money. Maybe get a half a Twinkie. So I don't know. Take half of it, and then go back. Can we talk about that? Like, okay, let's do that. So you got your bonus. What do you do? You got your Christmas thing. What do you do? Okay, how do you manage the money? Or you got a promotion? Okay, what should you do with the additional funds? So like, we have conversations about like all of it, right?
All of it.
Oh, this should be really good for you, Navy Federal PIP recipients.
100%.
Bro, you just don't know right now. You just don't know right now.
It is.
It's definitely so. Like, what when it comes to the type of work and as far as the club, like, what age group do you normally see that's more motivated to invest their money into things like this?
It's been a range, actually. We've had people with gray. Right, like myself, many more others, and we've got some young folks in there too. So what I've seen, I think the youngest people we've had in the group has been roughly late 20s. I think, late 20s.
Yeah. I would like to see. Well, I mean, I was going to say. I mean, I would like initially. I'd like to see more young people. That's my first thought, because I'm like, I want them to be able to do better than what I did. My oldest daughter, Gabby, she's 24, so I'm like nudging her and telling her like, yo. She does own her own home. She is, she's graduated college. I'm trying to like, hey, okay, babe, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. But the other portion is like, there's a gap in my community with my age range that need to know. And we've got to do some education. So it's like, it's a wide, I guess the net is wide right now in regards to like, hey, let's just get out there and get the people the education, like if they want it. But that's if
they want it.
They want it.
Well, what I think we've seen a lot of is a lot of primarily like I'll say middle class Black families. They've got either a 2 paycheck home, or even if it's a single paycheck home, but they found themselves in a fairly stable spot, but they don't know what's next. And those have been the people who have been coming because they're looking for what's next. And how they know those things exist out there, but they don't know how to get into those things. And they are typically strange concepts a lot to our community just because we've never been exposed to them, right? Our parents primarily probably would have had pensions, right? And so their company just did everything for them. And unless they had exposure to the market, right? Otherwise, they don't know. When we get to like Gen X, where you don't have a pension and you've got to figure out how to do a 401k, right? There's exposure to it, but still your company's kind of managing it for you. You look every once in a while, is it growing? Okay. I hope I got some money when I retire, right? And Social Security might be there as well. But it's people who have come up, they've got a little extra play change, right? And they're like, I'm tired of buying extra clothing. I want to do something more, right, with life. You've got that curious mind. You see some of the YouTube videos. You see some people who got some money doing some things, talking about the market, right? Or you want to just have something on the other side that's better for your kids. So they find themselves in a position where they're thinking about legacy. And those are the typical people who we see are coming in because they want legacy. They want something to be beyond just them. They want to have their next generation have something and not just walk out the door with nothing. And when people have that mindset, we find that they are very attracted to it and they're hungry to learn.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask y'all, like when it comes to investing, I know we touched a little bit on stock. What are some other things that you probably would motivate others to invest into? Like
outside of stock?
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's always real estate. Real estate is great to invest in.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see. What else would I invest in besides stock? Stock's my big thing. Real estate.
I love real estate. That's one thing I'm trying to get into now. I feel like it's way more important than what people talk about.
Yeah.
A lot of times we get into, and even when we think about real estate, I think sometimes people only think about just the home, but I think the land is very important too.
Land, 100%. Different businesses, but you're talking to two serial entrepreneurs here. Like,
I'm glad I got y'all in the room now.
I'm like, we're serial entrepreneurs. Like we're about business. We're about the Black collective.
Yeah.
We're about supporting. We're about each one reach one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all of that. But yeah. Whatever works. I'm like, any majority of things will work as long as you stick to and commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
consistency. Mm-hmm.
Consistency
is it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I myself started with real estate, I think, more than anything, like in my personal life, because I could see it and I've seen the models for it. And now I've seen the models for stocks and why it's important. So I think there are two different strategies that people can use. And when I say stocks, I'm not just talking about stocks, I should say securities, right? Because we're talking truly about securities. So securities include individual stock companies, ETFs, mutual funds, right? We're talking about bonds, right? We're talking about what's called like even like the idea of a hedge fund, right? These are all securities markets. We're talking Forex, right? There are ways of actually doing currency exchanges, right? And you can profit on the differences of currency. Currency markets are open actually 24/7. So the stock market, like the Chicago Mercantile, the NASDAQ, the Dow, those markets are open for a limited time, but the Forex markets are open 24/7. So you can actually trade all day, all night, right? So there are the quickest ways of when you have money is putting your money in the markets, right? And you can actually make money there, right? By either, you can do some setting and forget it, but if you actually take the time to study, you can make money there, right? Real estate is another avenue for generating wealth. Real estate is good if you don't have money to start with, right? So if you're looking to get in and you don't have disposable income that you're willing to let go of, right? Or reconfiguring your life so that you downsize your personal lifestyle as a consumer and moving into, right, investing as a primary lifestyle, right? That's one thing. But if you don't have a lot of disposable income, then you can use real estate to leverage other people's money, right? So now I can go buy a house, right? Or buy a duplex, because you can buy a duplex, triplex, quadplex, all on the same money that you would get for a single family home. Right. So the qualifications for a single family home is the same thing as it is for a quadplex. And so now if I can buy a quadplex instead of a single family home, then the bank will actually count those other 3 units as income that actually offsets the total cost of the property. Right. And so now I can leverage somebody else's money to actually generate an asset for me to where I have cash flow to now I can actually go invest in the market as well. The other thing that real estate gives you is tax advantages that the market does not give you. Right. So as long as you're a W-2 employee, right, and you're not just living off of dividend income, right, which reduces your tax rate down to 20%. But if you are a W-2 employee, you're going to get taxed at the highest level by default. Right. And so real estate helps you offset that. Right. The other thing is, of course, starting a business. To me, at this point in time, starting a business is actually the hardest thing to do. Right. Whereas number one, I would go invest in the market and I would go invest in real estate. Those would be the first 2 places I would go with every disposable dollar I have. I would actually minimize my lifestyle as much as possible and go straight to the market.
I know one thing that I've been seeing lately when it comes to the currency is that a lot of people in different countries are transferring, changing over to the Bitcoin thing. How do y'all feel about that?
So this one right here, my partner in crime, it definitely is. You have to talk to him about Bitcoin inside, he would be the person to be able to speak on that. My personal feeling about it, it's booming. I hate I didn't invest in it when it first came out. Like I hated investing in it like some years, but you have to know what you're doing in it. For me, like you have to know. Like there's some different platforms you can play, but I mean, this is the thing. I have a safety net around me, meaning that I'm a part of the war. So I have a group of people that if I want to invest in it, I can reach out to have conversations with. We don't necessarily touch on it within our organization. Not to say we won't, but I have a connection within people within the organization that do.
Can reach out and touch someone.
I was born in 1979. I'm a little skeptical about online money. So, but I'm just saying.
Bitcoin is dope. I think the thing with digital currencies is the technology with cryptocurrencies is still early. So you have to know what you're doing. Do not invest a lot of money into that. Don't try and get rich overnight, but understand the core concept. So if you just look at it as a market tool, right, you can go play the market game just like any other market game, right? You can watch it, buy it low, sell it when it's high, right? That's any market item.
So what about this? The kids are doing it on, what is it? You can buy on Cash App? Bitcoin?
You can buy Bitcoin on Cash.
Yeah, you can buy Bitcoin.
What are your thoughts about that for listeners who are wondering, like, if they got stocks like that? How do you feel about that?
I think it's dope. Buy it if that's what you want, but know the market that you're getting into, right? Just like I told you a stock earlier, CLM. If you don't know what CLM does, if you can't understand it, don't buy it. Buy what you know, buy what you can understand. So I'll give you plenty of stocks, but buy what you can understand. If you don't understand how the company makes money, then stay away from it. If you can't figure that out, then stay away from it. So if you can't understand how Bitcoin is valuable, stay away from it. You don't have to understand everything under the hood. You don't have to know how an engine combusts and actually produces energy, but you have to know how to drive that car, right? And if I can drive that car, I can turn a light switch on. I don't have to understand how electricity works, but I understand enough I know not to put my finger in that plug, right? So if you can understand that, then sure, go for it.
Mr. Hendricks, how much do you think our listeners, like those who are listening, how much do you need to invest? Like, they're like, do I have to have $2,000? Do I have to have $1,000? Do I have to have 100? Like, people get scared of investment. So, like, for those listening, how much do you need to invest? What's the minimum?
If you got $2, you can start investing.
Okay.
I mean, you can start investing.
What's the stock you have up on there? So let's see. Let's test that. So he has up on his laptop. It's Cornerstone Strategic Value Fund?
Yep, CLM. So that's
CLM. So if you look up CLM right now, if you go on Yahoo Finance and look up CLM stock name, stock ticker, and how much is that stock?
$7.23 right now.
$7.23. So what is $7.23 to you, G?
That's they used to be a 4 for 4 back in the day. Everybody used to love 4 for 4.
Can you go to Wendy's? Can you go to Wendy's with that now? I don't think I can go to Chick-fil-A.
Oh no,
you
gonna get some fries, maybe.
Yeah, you might get a single.
No meal.
I can't get no frosted lemonade with $7. I mean, maybe.
No.
Right?
No.
Right?
No. And if y'all have just checking in right now, we got Moni Ashe and Chris Hendricks right now with Noor Investment Group. We're talking about money tonight on the G Spot podcast. And make sure y'all share. And if you're coming in late, you will find information on this organization on the G Spot podcast page and RWR Live 365 page. Back to the money.
Back to the money,
man. I think even with me, I'm kind of new when it comes to stock. A couple years ago, a friend of mine's younger, kind of who put me on game with it, and he and his wife, they invest in Bitcoin, and I was just kind of like, I'm a little older. I'm in the 30 plus club now, so I'm just like, man, I can't catch on to that. And
you
then,
did ammonia shake.
And I was watching. I like to watch a lot of the. It's crazy that I'm about to bring his name up because he all on the media right now. But Diddy has these conventions with people who make with money. Please don't counsel me. Okay. The D word.
He knows how to make some money.
Yeah. And,
take that.
I was watching and I remember it was an artist on there. He was talking about, and he's well known for Waka Flocka for investing his money. He's a good investor. If you really watch Waka, he know where to put his money. And he was saying that, you know, a lot of times we can learn from each other. The young learn from the old young learn from the young. And he said, because if it's one thing to hold on to certain customs,
yes,
but if we get too far behind, they'll leave you behind in a museum. I don't want to be in a museum.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I even when I don't have the energy to, I force myself to learn these type of things because we are going into a different era, even when it comes to money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I, like I say all the time, if COVID didn't teach you nothing, how fast all this could switch up.
Yeah.
You know, it should teach you, I encourage you, what could I invest my money?
Yeah, but didn't Jay-Z try to teach us that? Like
he did.
Your watch, your timepiece.
Yeah.
A Rolex. Investment. That is an investment. Art is an investment.
Oh yeah, and I love art.
So there are many different ways. Like if you look and you research, so I hate to say this because my husband, like him and the watch, I'd be like, got into my teeth. He see a nice watch he want, but it's certain ones. It's like it's an investment. There's things that hold their value, things that will hold the value that you can pass down to your children. Like I'm now becoming of the age where I'm like, okay, so I have to let go of some of my fashion jewelry and start looking at diamond pieces that I can pass to my kids. So instead of just going and spending on this, I'm going to pass down to my daughters a set of diamonds, a value diamonds or a watch, or, you know, looking at this different things, the real stuff that you go and put in that safe, like for real though, that if you had to, and then let's be real, like with the way the economy is, what happens? Like if the ish hits the fan, what do you have? What can you pull? What can you use as leverage? You know, we talk about savings. We don't just talk, you know, we talk about stocks, but we also talk about like, hey, what you got? You know, what can you pull? What can we gather together if something happened? Like what can you grab? What do you have that if you needed to exchange? You know, my dad, and actually when this all comes down to it, like the war, I got this idea because I watched my dad. I was a product in a household where I had a dad who knew about investing. Like when I was a kid, like I would walk by his laptop and I would see little things and I didn't know what it was. It was stock tickers. Him watching and making investment. And he would say he was just touring around, but I watched him and I watched his portfolio grow. And I was like, huh. And every once in a while, I still reach out to my dad and ask him, hey, Dad, like what you got? Well, I sell on his laptop. He always try to be private. He has to like I don't know how to get in his laptop. I'm looking up and then I see what he got. Like, okay, what does he got? What is he doing? And you know, but I'm grateful for that. And so I believe we should have that. If you didn't have a dad that you saw that in regard to investing, no problem. You can have a sister.
Yeah.
You can have a brother.
Yep.
You can get together and we will talk to you. We're going to love on you. We're going to be real, you know, and try to keep you safe. And it's up to you to make a decision. But yeah, like a watch, you know, making sure you get the right ones and understanding the value of that.
Many things can be classified
Jewelry.
as assets.
Yeah.
Right. You know, some assets grow in value. Most assets depreciate in value.
Right.
And I think for any investor starting out, I don't disagree with what she said. Like those things are, but typically, right, you're talking about a limited selection of things and where you're going to put your money at, right, in that regard, right? So having that watch, right, and if it's an investment and you want it to grow in value, you know what you're not doing? You're not wearing it all the time, tearing it up, right? You're not, you know,
not getting dividends on it.
Right. You're not getting dividends on it. Robert Kiyosaki actually, he makes a great distinction where he says a thing that is considered an asset, and this is his limit, right? So he put this limit out. He says a thing that actually pays me money is an asset. Everything else is not. It's a liability. So he actually goes with the idea that my house, the house that I live in, right? Most people say, oh, my house is an asset. It's growing in value. Is it giving you money? No, it's costing you money. You have to maintain that house and you live in it, right? It's a consumable. So it's not making you money. So it's not an asset. It's actually a liability, right? That you have to account for. He says, now the rental property though, that raggedy rental property, right? Don't sell grandma's house, turn grandma's house into a rental property, right? Don't let grandma's house go for $2.25.
I hope y'all listening to it.
Keep grandma's house and rent that Jones out and get that $100 in. That becomes an asset that's valuable now. Right? Because everything else that actually costs you money, right, is a liability. Right. So think about it. That's a very strict view of it, right? But I think it's a view that helps you see the difference between assets and liability. So there's plenty of things to invest in that are assets, Not necessarily everything is going to pay you and give you cash flow.
Right.
100%.
And that's one of the things that we struggle with the most. We have lots of assets, right? I know people that got Jordans for days, right? Oh man, I can resell these, right? Right. Okay, great. But is it paying you money right now? Right. Even buying certain types of stocks. Oh, I got Nike stock. I got Ford stock, right? I got Tesla stock.
Yep.
Is that Tesla stock paying you right now? Right. Is it giving you a return every month? Right. Is it growing in value?
Don't go buy Tesla right now. Just sorry. Those who are in stock market know what I'm talking about. Don't go buy Tesla right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to put that out there.
That's not one we recommend.
That's not what we recommend. If
We
you
do
look
not
up
have
right
that in
now,
our portfolio.
Don't get Tesla. You'll be so mad at us. So don't do that right now.
No, I definitely get that. So what are some sites? Well, first, I want to ask, because I like to read.
Yeah.
What are some books you probably recommend for or as far as educating when it comes to
He
investment?
goes to the bag.
I'm going to the bag. I'm going in the bag for the podcast viewers.
Yeah.
For the podcast viewers. All right. So this is my collection of books that I am reading currently that are informing me of how to build my personal bag so that I'm well squared away. I'll first start with the idea of the black tax, right? If you haven't read this book, it's by Sean D. Rochester, and it's the cost of being black in America, right? And it helps you understand the expense ratio that it goes into when our neighborhoods, our assets are actually devalued, just simply because you live in a black space, right? Or you have black skin, right? And it helps you understand how, when that happened to your parents and to your grandparents, how that actually took money out of your pocket, how it took money out of your mouth right now. He actually explains that and actually costs that out, right? And help you see that in dollars and cents, right? So that's an understanding that you need. Next is a book that I actually highly recommend by Toby Mathis. It's called Infinity Investing. Has nothing to do with infinity banking. I'm not recommending infinity banking for anybody, but this is called Infinity Investing because it's the idea of long-term dividend returns. It helps you set up your personal portfolio well so that you understand how to invest, how to deal with your money. This is written by a tax attorney. You can actually find him on YouTube. If you just look up Toby Mathis, TOBYMATHIS, Infinity Investing. Let me hold it up for those who are watching. You can see it's well worn, well out to dry. All right, next book. It's called How to Day Trade for a Living by Andrew Aziz. How to Day Trade for a Living. This book is all about the art of trading, right? How to be a technical analyst, how to do day trading. Now, we in the war are not day traders, but what this book gives me is the idea of how to look at stocks and how to analyze stocks well as an individual. So if I'm going to buy an ETF, if I'm going to buy a mutual fund, if I'm going to buy an individual security, it helps me understand what that stock is, how to look at the numbers, how to look at what the ex-dividend date is, what the actual volume of shares that are being moved around, how to look at the news to see what's impacting that stock, right? That security, right? This is what this helps me to do. Now, I'm going to get into day trading myself personally, right? But right now I'm setting up my cash flow so that when my security CLM pays me monthly, I can take that extra cash flow that comes in, take some of it, reinvest back into it to buy more. So I get more of a dividend income, but then take a portion of that and actually start day trading to actually grow and build money, right? I don't need to make $100, right? I don't need $10,000, right? I don't need to make this big, gigantic whelm. It's small numbers. I want to invest $100 and I want that to move to $120 because that security that I bought moved 2 cents, right? And when it moved 2 cents, I sell it. And then I bought enough at 2 cents that now I've made $120. And then I'm out. And then I'm done for the day. I've won. And then I go the next day and then I do the same thing, right? And this book helps you understand how to do that. Finally, if you're into real estate, if you got other businesses, if you've got, you've got your securities down pat, you're making money, right? You got your W-2 world happening where you're making all the money right here, for all you Navy Federal pippers out there. There's a book by Tom Wheelwright called Tax-Free Wealth. I'm actually just finished reading this book. This book has been a lifesaver when you find yourself dealing with different tax brackets and how to actually deal with like giving money to the IRS instead of always getting money, right? When your kids roll off your payroll and now the IRS just have you in that higher tax bracket, you got to start paying. And what you find is you have the ability to write things off and actually reduce your tax liabilities legally, right? And actually increase your income because you're paying less in taxes and it's all legal, right? And I think that's a good thing. And so the idea of Jeff Bezos with Amazon being one of the richest men in the world not paying taxes, right? He does that legally because he actually takes a lot of that money and reinvests it into other things and pushing forward, creating jobs. And the IRS gives you the ability to do that. The IRS code is written for people to run businesses and make investments. And when you run businesses and make investments, the IRS says, we won't tax you because we'll tax all the people you're employing. That's how the tax code is written. In fact, this book taught me that I think it's 16% of the tax code is written to collect taxes. The other 80+% of the tax code is written on how to reduce your taxes. Literally, it is written for people to build businesses and make investments and then write it off. We'll tax the people who just get W-2 employee income. That's literally how the majority of the money is made.
Chris, don't we have, I think we were talking about for middle income families and upper income families here in Pensacola, we're exploring some ideas in regards to, okay, so now you're making some money and some coins. Let's have conversations about how to, like, where to put your money. So there might be people in Pensacola who be like, okay, well, I started making a little coin, like some money. How do we do this? And we're exploring those conversations and looking to having those conversations like, okay, now, how do I decrease, my taxable liability? Like, where should my money go to? Who should I be investing in? How can I support my community? So we're exploring that too. It's different levels, we in the war. And I love that about us. But one of the things I also want to highlight about us as well is that we're diverse in our belief systems and background, but we very God-centric. There's very much understanding the stewardship. It don't matter what we teach or what we talk about. If you don't have the understanding of what it really means to be a good steward to God, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter. Like, you have to be able to, like, we are diverse in our beliefs and how we bring things, but God is first. It really is. And how we approach things in that regard, like just being good stewards. We talk about it. We go through it. We look at it. We evaluate. On all of these different things to make the best decisions that we can collectively as a group.
Definitely.
How we talk to one another, how we interact,
it's important.
It is important because we're breaking bread together. We're building legacy, so that is also another important part of who we are as Nawar, like as a collective, like
relationship, communications. If we don't have that, then we don't have anything, because then we're just driven apart, right? Great conversation sometimes creates friction, but that's okay. That's good friction, right? We want that because it helps us grow. I think the Bible says iron sharpeneth iron, right? And two swords sharpening one another, right? You got two cutting edges, right? That's okay. That's good, right? That's for growth, right? We're outside the negative, right? We ain't doing that, right? Keep that out in the streets, right? Go do that somewhere else. But if you want to grow, if you want to build relationship, if you want the ability to have transparency, those are important things, important values to us. And that's how we get, right? Yeah. Accountability for sure. To your point though, for those middle income families, we're actually creating our second club, right? Our second portfolio club right now, right? That's something to celebrate, right? So in our first portfolio club, right, it is literally designed, we call it the E Club. And it's designed around education. It's only $25 a month to invest. And that's it. $25 a month.
4 years on $25.
4 years on $25, right? And we've got a portfolio over $14K. And we now have arrived at a point by learning and growing that the fund pays for itself, right? So literally, we just paid our taxes, IRS taxes. We just paid our Florida Sunshine Sunbiz renewal license. All of that comes from dividends that the fund is making, right? And so we've got green, right? When it shows up green in the portfolio window, when the treasurer does the treasurer's report, and we see all that green there, all of this money sitting up in there, right? Because we we can decide to drip. And if you don't know what drip is, basically it's a dividend reinvestment plan, right? So we can take our dividends and just set it to say, hey, when you pay us, securities broker, right, the company that we go through, just go buy more of that thing, right? We can do that. But what we do is we actually take that cash right now and we're actually using it to cover our bills. And then once we get to a point where our bills are covered, then we start investing the rest.
Now, what happens if you do that for yourself, G? Imagine if you had that money come, like you have that drip just come straight to you. What you paying? What you buying? What you doing? Just every month it's coming. It's coming.
I'm trying to make this the next Montel show.
Every month the money just coming. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's very, very, exciting now. Like I said, you see a lot of the, younger Black entrepreneurs who are, trying to educate themselves on this. One thing I've been learning, I've been trying to wing a lot of this stuff by myself. Business coaches are important. It's definitely important. And like I was saying earlier, sometimes when you come into entertainment and being an entertainer, when you start to grow, your needs start to change. Yes. And so you start to want to be around different type of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, my vision is now totally different from have partying every weekend. Now I'm trying to hang around people who are living that life and they are putting in the work to be where I want to be. So it's really interesting. Wanted to have y'all on the show, but even the people, because somebody just hit me twice about it, like, make sure you get that information. So like I told y'all before, you definitely will see the information on the G-Spot podcast page.
And no, you don't have to. You said you've been doing this on your own. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You do not have to.
Yeah.
Like, we're here to support.
Yeah, I be needing that, man. I know my friends be tired of me, man.
We're here to support.
What you think about this? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely appreciate y'all for coming in on us and giving us this information. One thing when it comes to joining the club and being a part of more information, how do we go about doing that?
Bet. You want to tell them or you want me to run down it?
You can run down it. So
the simplest way to join Noir is actually to go to our website, noirinvest.com. That's NOIRE invest, INVESTS.com. On there, you'll find a page that says connect. And then if you send that, we'll get that email and we'll invite you to our next club meeting. We meet monthly. Currently, the E-Club meets monthly on the second Sunday of every month in the evening time at 6 p.m. We meet for about an hour. We'd be happy to have you to join us as our guests. And then we always hang out with our guests. The officers hang out with our guests at the end, kind of help them understand some of the things they might have saw, but we don't hide anything, right? So we go through our minutes, we go through our agenda, we go through the money that we've collected, we go through actually buying stocks, we go through how much money we got, how much money we finna invest, and they see all of it from top to bottom, beginning to end. Once that happens, if they're interested, then they really sign an NDA. And what we do with the NDA, and the reason why we have everyone sign an NDA in this particular group is because we want, number one, we want to keep Noir's business. So if Noir does something great, right, we keep that in the group. We celebrate. If we make a mistake because we're learning, then we keep that in the group. It ain't running all around town blasting, right? It's focused on maturity, right? You keep what's in the house, right? You don't air your family business all out in the streets, right? Don't air our family business out in the streets, right? Because we want to create a family environment. Once you do that, you just sign the paperwork. There's an admin fee that everyone pays, and then it's $25 a month. And then on renewal, your admin fee is cut in half, and then you just keep in there. We've got people who've been there from the beginning. Yep. And then secondly, once you decide you're interested in joining, right, you come to one of our meetings. If you don't mind, I'd like to tell everyone about our new group that's actually going to be launching right after our Juneteenth Financial Summit, right?
They don't even know about the Juneteenth Financial Summit.
Oh,
we got to tell them about that.
Y'all don't know about that, do y'all?
Right?
Look, go to noirinvest.com. You'll see Noir Financial Summit. Click that link. We are doing a financial summit for Pensacola here at the Villa Square.
First Black one that I know.
First Black financial summit. It might be the only financial summit in Pensacola.
I mean, yeah,
I ain't heard nothing.
That's big stuff. That's big stuff, right?
So we launching something. We finna roll it on out. So we're gonna do our financial summit June 14th, that Friday afternoon, going into the Juneteenth weekend, the journey to Juneteenth. celebrations that are happening.
How exciting.
Right. It's going to be dope at the Villa Square. That's going to be so much fun. But after that, we're going to be launching our second club. And our second club, we're looking more like best practices in the market. I think I mentioned earlier, shout out to Mr. Hubert. We have a accredited investor in our group. And with that, we've been actually modeling what next looks like, that next fund. You'll see some if you go to our homepage, some ideas of some funds we want to launch. But right now, we're in the process of launching War Next. The War Next will actually seek to build a fund for $500K. Right? That $500K will then get all the investors in that, and it's going to be limited. We're only accepting 50 investors, and we've already got 5. So we actually got our base costs covered, and it'll actually start paying for itself based on those 5 who are joining. But we're limiting it to 50. Once we hit 500K, from there, we'll actually start paying quarterly dividends, and then we actually have the ability to use margin to actually morph that into a meal easy. Right. And so we have some accredited investors. We've got some sharp analysts who are going to be in that fund, in that group. So you don't want to miss this train, because this is going to be a bullet train. Right. The first one is a regular train. Right. We carrying big cargo. This one, this one's about income. Yeah. This is about growing money fast. Yep. And if you are interested in that, hey, come join us. We got dolphins, we got orcas, we got sharks, right? We got the social club aspect, right? Yeah. If you're into that, right? You want to invest a little, right? We've got that, right? If you want to attack and you want to be on the attack and go do a thing, that's coming Juneteenth Financial Summit.
Oh man, it's definitely. I'm excited about it. I hope. Are y'all gonna have vendors? We'll talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely, vendors.
We'll talk about having a G spot in the business. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I appreciate y'all for coming in with us tonight. We definitely got to have y'all in here again.
Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, we talk about money.
More money.
We got some good things that we were just talking about just a minute ago. So y'all definitely will see them soon, and we definitely gonna continue to pull all the Black entrepreneurs, man, that's on the same wave in the building. It's time for us to start back putting into our own people and into our own community. Like I said before, put that disclaimer out there. You know what I'm saying? Being for your people, being pro-Black, does not mean you anti anything else. But it's okay, because everybody else got to look out for their own. It's time for us to look out for our own too, and spread the wealth. Make sure y'all check us out, and make sure y'all will find, come to the G Spot podcast, and y'all will find their information on our page too, in case y'all have any questions. I still have questions, so we definitely gonna be talking. If y'all haven't already this weekend, do y'all have any events coming up?
Oh, well, besides that, we have our financial conference is coming up in Juneteenth. And then we have our next NOR meeting.
Okay.
Next NOR meeting, and then our NOR Knowledge, right? So that's happening in May. Expected to be at 1216 9th Avenue. Is where we're expecting to do that one at.
That's one of our members' locations. Who's that? Who's at 1216? You know who's at 1216? Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn.
One of our members.
Yeah, 1216 North. If you don't know, that's what the step is.
Tracy B.
Yeah. So
one of our members.
I'll definitely. I'll be there. I'll definitely be there. Shout out to Miss Tracy and Tommy. Man, good people, man. If y'all haven't already, make sure y'all check out. I think on
wings.
Oh yeah. On Wednesdays, I think. Oh, it's every third Wednesday.
Wings and wine on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Wings and wine on Wednesdays.
Diet.
And too, they talk about business and money over there too at 1216 North. So definitely follow the page.
Tommy's about that. He's really a great member in our club. Like we get in there.
Shout out to AT&T. Go get that AT&T stock. That's Tommy's best friend. That's Tommy's stock, and they pay some dividends.
Yes, and if y'all, like I said, y'all have any questions, make sure y'all hit us up. This weekend we really ain't got much going on, but if you got nothing going on, we already know what's going on this weekend. 420 is coming up, and we have a very unique event coming up on 420. We have the paint and puff. We got me and my boy Stoney Murphy this weekend from 6 to 10 p.m. with DJ Sandy Sam. You got to be 25 and up to get in.
I think I passed that.
Yeah.
I might be 24. I don't know if I'm gonna make it in. I might not pass the background check.
Definitely at 2023 Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, which is the old Michelle's Boutique. If y'all, and I think it used to be like a juke joint. It's always been like a black thing back in the day. But like I said, with that pack, with when you pay your entry fee, you get a complimentary painting kit, special treats, wine, hookah.
Ooh, special treats.
Yeah, special treats. And it's definitely a BYOB event. Your first glass of wine is definitely on us. This is a grown folks event. Like Nikki D. Mar say, be grown or be gone. We don't need no drama. So they say the drama for your mama. And I just wouldn't even recommend that either. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all check that out this weekend, April 20th from 6 to 10 p.m. We got seats are limited, so I definitely recommend that y'all jump on it at least jump on it ASAP. I ain't gonna tell y'all when, y'all just jump on that ASAP. And as always, we love y'all and we appreciate y'all for checking into the G Spot podcast. Make sure y'all follow our beautiful family that is the first time on the G Spot podcast, and y'all check out the G Spot podcast each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time.
We'll see you guys soon.
We'll see you guys soon. Y'all have a safe